I know one person, our next guest, that it's safe to say that he wouldn't be going on this roller coaster either. And that is Paul Dottino from WFAN Sports Radio and Giants.com. He's here to talk to us about Super Bowl 55. The big game is next weekend between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Paul, how are you?
Good morning, ladies. Nice to be with you, and I want no part of that roller coaster. It's a great amusement park, but I'm not touching that ride.
I figured you wouldn't. I just had that hunch. So, Paul, you and I spoke before the NFL season, as we always do, and we really weren't sure how successful Tom Brady was going to be in transitioning to a new team, maybe a weaker team on paper. Obviously, that hypothesis was blown out of the water because he's in his 10th Super Bowl appearance. Talk to us about your feelings on that.
Well, you know, Lisa, coming off of what the Buccaneers showed last year when Jameis Winston was their quarterback, and I'm not comparing the two QBs, but the fact is he was sacked like a gazillion times. Mm-hmm. And the Buccaneers' offensive line was literally Swiss cheese. And I'm saying to myself, when Brady signs there, you got a guy who's 40 plus years old, who does not move around very well. And now he's going to put himself behind an offensive line that cannot protect. He's got no chance, not only to make the playoffs. That's not going to happen, but there's no way he's going to last a full 16 games without getting knocked out of the lineup and being put on injured reserve for the rest of the season. I honestly didn't think he'd get past 9, 10, maximum 12 games before he would get hurt. Well, what happened? The Buccaneers offensive line not only raised its play dramatically, but they added Wirfs, the left tackle in the draft, and all of a sudden, the right tackle, I should say, and the line came together. Dotson played better at the other tackle, and it all starts with the line. And once their offensive line started to show that they could protect Brady, they suddenly became dangerous. And look what happened. They protected him all season. He's standing upright, hasn't been hurt at all, and that's what gave them an opportunity to go this far.
Yeah, and the New York Giants played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this season. It was a close game. The Giants almost pulled it out, but obviously Tom Brady, he's got an endless bag of tricks. So unfortunately, the Giants didn't prevail.
Well, the Giants, you recall, fell short in that game in the final seconds, a 2-point conversion that they needed to tie the game and send it to overtime. It was a pass that Daniel Jones wish he had back. It was a little bit behind the running back, Lewis. There may have been pass interference on the play. I know a lot of Giants feel that way. I personally think they could have thrown a flag. They did. They then reversed the call, picked it up, and the Giants lost by 2 points. But they certainly showed that they were within a razor-thin margin of taking the Buccaneers to overtime. I honestly don't think the Buccaneers are as good as your usual Super Bowl teams are. I think they've been very fortunate over the last couple of weeks to get by two teams that really did not play very well and were not coached very well. And I don't want to say they got to buy into the Super Bowl, but they are not in Kansas City's class.
Yeah. Well, Kansas City, Kara.
Yeah, I was just going to say, speaking of Kansas City, the Chiefs, what are your thoughts about them making it to their second straight Super Bowl appearance?
Yeah, well, because of the difficulties in teams repeating, I certainly thought that, with the big X on their chest, as all defending champions have to have when they go into the following year, I personally had picked Pittsburgh and New Orleans over the summer to be my reps in the Super Bowl. Well, we all know what happened. Pittsburgh fell apart because their running game became just totally non-existent. And, of course, they got some guys banged up, and they just collapsed in the final month of the season. I still believe that had Pittsburgh been fully healthy and had it going, they were the best threat to knock the Chiefs off in the AFC. But it just did not materialize for them. And right now, the Chiefs are playing about as well as they can play, like a finely tuned and finely oiled machine. Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, doing a marvelous job. But Lisa and I know him from his time with the Giants when he helped them beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 42. I really believe that the way they've got things going, they're doing just enough on defense with a spectacular offense that can pretty much do whatever it wants. I don't see anybody stopping them. I truly believe that of all the teams in the National Football League today, the Steelers had the best roster that would have had the opportunity to beat them. But again, that's not the case this weekend. They're going up against the Tampa Bay team that has Tom Brady. I get it. I just don't think they have enough.
Yeah.
I have to say, I saw the best meme the other day, and it was about Tom Brady, and it was just saying, so Tom Brady went out into the world and said, so who wants to go to the Super Bowl this year? And like he could have picked any team and just.
It is amazing when you consider the fact that, he did not play all that well last week. Let's face it. He threw less than 50% completes, got intercepted 3 times. Okay, the Green Bay Packers did everything they could last week to give that game away. They coached very, very poorly. They had some very bad mistakes physically on the field and basically did everything they could not to advance. And Tom Brady was the glad recipient of that. And so now here he is in the Super Bowl. Look, I think that Brady, obviously, he's got all the tools. He's the greatest, most successful quarterback in the history of the National Football League. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he does not have a chance to win this game. But what I am going to tell you is that the matchup, offense versus defense, defense versus offense, the Chiefs have the advantage on both sides of the ball. And they also have the advantage, I believe, on special teams. Therefore, it's going to take a subpar game from the Chiefs. Penalties, turnovers. They've got to play a sloppy game, in my opinion, for Tampa Bay to steal it. And you ladies know this. When you leave the studio, you know if you've done an A+ show or a B show that maybe wasn't quite what you really felt it could be. If the Chiefs play their A game, they will win. It's just that simple. I don't think the Bucs can beat them if Kansas City plays their best football.
Yeah. Well, Paul, before you mentioned Steve Spagnuolo, who we know very well from our Giants glory years, but there's other local connections to this game as well, with Todd Bowles being the defensive coordinator on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dive into that a little bit.
Well, Todd Bowles, the former Jets head coach, obviously, and again, we talk about Spags being the former Giants defensive coordinator and was an interim head coach at the end of the year a couple of years ago when Shermer had gotten fired with a month left. I mean, McAdoo had gotten fired with a month left in their season some years back. There's no question that, the people of this area are going to have extra interest because of what these assistant coaches are going to be doing on Sunday. But here's the difference between these two guys, okay? Todd Bowles has a very big problem. He's going up against the Chiefs offense that can attack him in whichever philosophy he decides to play. If he decides that he's going to play man coverage, okay, and try to take away everything that the Chiefs want to do offensively deep, then Travis Kelce, the tight end, and Kareem Hunt out of the backfield will destroy them in the nickel and dime game. And the Chiefs will be patient, go all the way down the field, and do what they have to do to score. If he decides to go and take that away, then they've got the speed with Tyreek Hill to beat him deep. So no matter which philosophy he chooses, the Chiefs have an answer. Not the case for Steve Spagnuolo. Because when you look at this Tampa Bay, I almost said 49ers, this Tampa Bay offense, they're basically a pound-it, grind-it offense, and then Brady making an occasional big play down the field. They don't have the depthness to be able to kill you in two totally different ways. They can't adjust as easily as the Kansas City offense can. Therefore, Spags has a much easier task than Bowles does. Spags will, no doubt, when he feels they're going to run it, he'll stuff the box, he'll run blitz, and then when he knows that Brady's got to throw it, he'll mix up the man, he'll mix up the zone. He's got a much easier task because he's got a wider variety of tools, and the opposite offense does not have that variety to match up well.
Yeah. And also too, we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up Jason Pierre-Paul, one of the favorites of the modern Giants Super Bowl teams. He's going back to the Super Bowl, so I'm very happy for him.
JPP, you consider all that he's had to go through. We know about the fireworks accident with his hands when he was with the Giants. He's had some car mishaps as well. He had neck issues, back issues. This guy has been basically scotch taped together over the years. And by the way, Lisa, he was voted to the Pro Bowl this year. Double-digit sacks, had a terrific season. And I couldn't be happier for him as an individual to be able to go back to the Super Bowl like this. It's amazing that he's actually been able to have a terrific NFL career considering the physical ailments and accidents that he's had to overcome. But I will tell you this. JPP and Shaq Barrett, the two edge rushers that Tampa Bay has in terms of being able to get to the quarterback, that's great. The problem is, not only does Mahomes have a litany of weapons that he can throw to at any given time, they can go with the short game, they can go with the long game. They've got the ability to run the ball if they have to, but they also have Mahomes as his legs. Tremendously athletic quarterback who not only can run and try to escape that pass rush, he also is probably the best quarterback in the NFL right now at throwing the ball while he's running, while he's actually on the move. He doesn't lose anything from his arm. He can also throw off one foot and throw backwards. Remember, his dad, Pat Mahomes, was a fastballing pitcher in Major League Baseball years ago. I think he gave his arm to his kid because it's remarkable the kinds of throws he can make even when on the run. That will somewhat neutralize the Buccaneers' pass rush.
Yeah, Mahomes is so exciting to watch. Paul, before we let you go, we need a prediction. What is the final outcome of Super Bowl 55?
Well, I know most of the, quote, experts are saying Kansas City by a field goal or so. I would say Kansas City is going to win this game by at least a touchdown. I don't necessarily, again, count Brady and the Buccaneers out, but what are the chances that Kansas City goes into this game and just kind of gets sloppy and falls apart and gives the Bucs a real chance to steal it? I don't think those chances are very high. I think if both teams play their A game, even though Kansas City beat Tampa by a field goal back in November. Look, that was a 20-7 halftime lead. And the Buccaneers had to score 2 unanswered touchdowns in the fourth quarter to make that score close. I don't think that happens this time. I think if Kansas City's got themselves, a touchdown or so lead, okay, maybe the Bucs kind of inch in there a little bit, but they're going to be kept at a distance. I'll say Kansas City by at least a touchdown.
All right, Paul. Well, you can see Paul Dottino on Giants.com. You can listen to his reports on WFAN Sports Radio. Thank you so, so much.
Very nice to see you, ladies. Enjoy the game.